Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
How are y'all doing? It is us again.
Us is...
We are the Williams.
Yes, we are.
And we're here with another edition of Love Unscripted.
Brought to you by... No, just kidding.
Brought to you by the two who have become one.
I like that, babe.
This is my lovely wife, Ramona.
Hello.
My name is Wilbert. And we're here to just say thank you once again for allowing us into your home, into your day, to hear a few things that we see as things that will be beneficial. So we share it.
Yeah, things that are beneficial, like to us, right? And so we just think that, hey, they work in our household. They have been helpful in our household. And sometimes things don't work. So sometimes you learn from things that don't work as well. And then, we share those because we are human. Yes,
we are. I have this saying, the best wisdom is through another man's experience.
Come on now, because you don't have to experience everything.
If
somebody else has had that experience and maybe have either failed or have been successful, learn from it, right?
Learn from it.
That speeds up your journey.
So with that being said, our topic tonight is, have you made room for your spouse?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be deep.
Yeah.
Have you made room for your spouse?
Deep.
Oh my God.
Gonna be deep.
I make no apologies for my husband's corniness. Babe, let's get into it.
So just want to bring this to your attention. People get married and they bond together, but they are not together. What do I mean by that? Because in order for two to become one, you've got to let go of some things that you may have very, very solid stance on that leaves no room for someone else to come and stand with you.
Okay, go ahead. Get into it.
You've got to begin to, let some things go. You've got to begin to say, you know what? I'm firm on this. I'm firm on, the trash being taken out. I'm firm on the shoes being left. I'm firm on the towels being moved. I'm firm on you talking this way. I'm firm on you looking this way. But sometimes, in order for two to become one, you've got to leave room for growth. And you've got to leave room for growth. And you got to grow together. You got to learn each other. Make room for your spouse. Open yourself up to new ideas, new conversations, new way of doing things. Because you come in independent, but you're now codependent. You rely on one another. You need each other.
Yeah. And saying that, when you said, leave some room for your spouse, sometimes we get so married to our convictions.
Oh, wow.
Right? The way we think, the way we do things, like my husband was just saying, the way we do things, that there's almost no room, as my husband said, for growth. There's almost no room for a different mindset. Sometimes the same mindset that you had when you were single doesn't work when your two becomes one. It doesn't work. And in those cases, sometimes you either, if let's say you are single, seeking and hoping to get married one day, and there's someone in your life, right, that, hey, this fits the bill. It feels like this might be the person, but your convictions are like this. You are so married to your convictions. That's your one. That's your other, right?
That's beautiful. Yes.
That's your other. And you're not giving room for them to come in and be one with you, to someone that, because one of the things that I know that has happened with my husband and I over the months that the year and so that we have been married is our thoughts and our ideas have like they're meshing.
Yes.
We have some ideas that are just like this, and some ideas that are coming together like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So imagine if me with my strong convictions and thoughts and personality and character and all that kind of stuff never made room for my husband to come in and have his say or his um, um, ways of doing
My
things.
perspectives.
That's what I'm talking about. His perspectives, then where would that leave us in growing together? Here I am over here with my strong conviction self, and here he is over here. We can't figure out a way to get together because I have not left any room for him to come in. And I'm going to say this, and I always say that, I'm going to say this, because I know I'm talking a lot. But that can go in so many different areas. It can go in love, in communication, in just how you do things around your home. You know, how are those things? I'm gonna stop talking but I'm gonna remember this one thought because that just reminded me how things go in your home. If, let's say, you got married and one person was already living in a space and the other person came to be a part of that space. Are you leaving room for that new person, your spouse now, to come and be, I'm getting my own stuff excited.
How can I put this? There is no such thing as a cookie cutter husband. You just pour the dough in and it comes out the same every time. It doesn't work. There's no such thing as a cookie cutter wife. If those of you that understand what cookie cutter means, it means everybody comes from the same mold. No, they don't. So you have to learn them. They have to learn you. You've got to be able to communicate. You got to be open for different opinions, different ideas, different thought processes. Because I assure you that if you don't, what you end up doing, it'll be a one-sided conversation. It'll be all him or all her. And it's the two or one. It should never be where you guys don't hear each other out and follow through on a concerted effort together. You've got to make that room to grow together. Your convictions are your convictions. They came with you. But you've got to be able to relinquish some of those so that when your hands that used to be like this together by themselves, they now share another pair of hands. They now share another pair of hands. And this is where life as a single-minded person ends and life as a covenant, married, God-ordained husband and wife life begins.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And sometimes I believe that it's hard for some of us to let go of those single convictions.
Wow.
You know, so not only do you need to do it, but we know sometimes it's hard to do it. I think in those let's say this, if it becomes difficult for your spouse to come in and do certain things, be able to add to certain thoughts, or be able to take up space, even in your house, then maybe there are some convictions that need to be loosened up and let go. And I would like to say, I don't think that all of your thoughts, all your convictions, all the way you think, all the ways that you do things just have to be thrown out, right?
No.
I don't think that's the case, but I think you have to think about it. You have to put the seal of your covenant on that. You know, it just can't be okay, this is the way I think, and okay, my marriage, my relationship, whatever, just has to conform to it.
Wow.
You know, it has to be the other way around. So here is my marriage, and how does that work with how our marriage is set up? You know, does I like to, not me specifically, but let's say I like to talk a lot. I like to be very aggressive in the way I communicate. Not necessarily a bad thing. Some people are very strong with the way they think and, feel about certain things. Does that necessarily work for my marriage? Is my spouse more on the let's say passive side, and every single time we have a conversation there's no space for him to even enter in?
And something my wife said earlier, and I'm just want to interject real quick. If you don't make room for your spouse or make room for your significant other to come in and sit with you, trust and believe they'll find some other place to sit.
Ooh, can you say that again for the people in the back?
If you don't make room for your spouse or your husband or your wife to sit in that covenant marriage together with you, they will find another seat somewhere else.
Yeah. And trust me, we're not wishing or hoping that on anyone.
Right.
But the thing is, you have to recognize that in your relationship, in your marriage, there has to be room, and that's the whole topic.
Yeah.
There has to be room for them.
Right.
And if you are taking up all of the space, if it's love, if it's communication, if it's, like I said, within the household, how do they fit into the marriage?
Right.
How do they contribute to it?
Right.
Because people want to be appreciated. They want to know that they have value.
Hey, you're killing it.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. And when people don't feel that way, like my husband say, they might get up and find a seat somewhere else, someone who wants to listen to them, someone who is willing to say, you know what, I hear you. Here's some space for you. I'm listening to you.
Ooh.
I'm giving you some space, right? And so in that's when you have to make the decision to not let that happen.
Right.
And let me say this. It is a way, I think, to honor and respect the person you're with, to give them space.
Yes.
I love you enough, I honor you enough, I respect you enough to give you space in our covenant.
Scripture says, through love and kindness have I drawn thee. Your spouse deserves to feel like they're loved. They deserve that kindness, that openness to receive from you, and you receive from them.
Yeah.
So that your communication is where it is a collective and not two different perspectives on two different spectrums. Come together and work together and make that room for each other's, value each other's opinion, value each other's thought process.
Make the room for each other.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Value each other's thought process. Value the love that they bring. Value what they bring to the table, because God brought you together to make you better. That's exactly what he did. He put y'all together to use you, and he's making room to use you. You've got to make room for each other.
Yes. Insane. Were you finished, babe?
Go ahead, babe.
He like, look, you just gonna talk. In saying that, while you were talking, I was thinking, it also, we had a video some time back where we were basically saying you have to tell your spouse what it is that you need. Your spouse is not a mind reader.
That's good. That's
right?
Good. Yes.
So let's say, your spouse isn't making room for you, and you can feel it. You feel constricted and squeezed in, and there's no room to breathe,
right?
Because of, whatever that situation is. Then if they can't figure it out, I would probably say 8 times out of 10, if they're doing it, they might, and they love you, and they honor you, they respect you. Maybe it could be that they don't recognize that they're doing it. And then here is an opportunity for you to
Yes.
be open and vulnerable with your spouse and say, hey, babe, and here we go, my dialogue room plug, right?
This is good.
My dialogue room plug is
Yes.
to go in the dialogue room, take all emotions and feeling out and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, and this is, that's going to be important. Because anytime you're saying, hey, you're smothering me, I feel constricted,
Mm-hmm.
that could be hard for someone to hear.
Yeah.
Especially because sometimes we think we are doing things the right way.
Because
Sometimes
it's your perspective.
right, because it's your perspective. So you think you're doing
You
things
think
the right
you're doing
way.
it right.
I'm
Yeah.
cooking, I'm cleaning for
Mm-hmm.
him. I'm filling up our car, I'm taking out the trash,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And so you're like, man, I'm hitting it on all cylinders. But there's this area over here where there's no room for me.
Exactly.
Right? And your spouse doesn't realize it. So here is dialogue room time. You go into the dialogue room and you have that conversation. It's nothing personal. It's an opportunity for growth.
For growth.
It is an opportunity for growth. Hey, babe, we when we moved into this place together, I understand that you had this place before I came along, right? We know what our plans are. We have plans to move in together and have a home that we build or we purchase together. But until that time, can I tell you how I feel? I feel like X, Y, and Z, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like this is my home. I feel like it's your home and I'm living in it. Whatever it is,
right.
Whatever it is. Because it's important to the growth of your marriage, and it's important for you as a human being to be able to have space for the space that you have been ordained or purposed to be in.
Come on. When a husband or a wife doesn't feel like they're being stepped on, mm-hmm. because all the communication is coming from one person, then they just, if they're not that person who is aggressive in communicating, mm-hmm. they'll just digress. Ooh. And they won't say anything. But like when my wife said, they may not communicate. So it's time to have that dialogue room. It's time to have that conversation. It's time to open up and say, hey, look, can we have that conversation? I need to talk to you. This is how I'm feeling. Mm. This is how it feels when you do this. Mm. This is how I feel when you say this. Mm. Or this is the times where I don't feel like I've been able to speak my mind clearly, or I feel like you don't listen. Oh. In that perspective, in that aspect, you've got to be able to be that husband or that wife that says, you know what? I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. Yeah. Let's have this communication. Let me change so that we can change, so that we can grow together. Mm. And that goes for both. Yeah. Yeah. You got to welcome that person into that quiet person that you are, or welcome that husband and wife into that aggressive communicator that you are. Yeah. Because sometimes you can be so self-absorbed in your perspective that another perspective, you just kind of cast it out. You discount it. You discredit it. You're no longer two, but you're one. Both of you matter. Oh, both of you matter. Yes. That is beautiful, and it's necessary.